Doors closed. All clear.
Asante Sawana means thank you in Swahili. And Twende, that means let's go. Jumbo everyone, welcome to Kilimanjaro Safaris. My name is Sierra. I'll be your safari driver as we head out today on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now a few safety reminders before we head on out. Please make sure to stay seated at all times, keeping those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside my truck. Now this is a real truck we're sitting on. I really am here up here driving. There really is no track out there. And in just a moment, we're going to head out and see some real animals.
Crazy.
Now the first area we're heading into is called the Little Tree Forest. You'll notice as we come on in that there are a lot of trees and a lot of bushes, and it's pretty well shaded with some sunlight coming through those trees. Now that helps the animals that live here to blend in really well or to camouflage, so keep your eyes open for them. I do see an animal there on the right. They're kind of all the way forward by that group of bamboo shoots. That's an okapi. If you notice the small animal kind of all the way on that right hand side back, laying against that wall, that was a yellow-backed diker. Blends in really well there. But that okapi that we see, got that black and white striped legs and that dark brown body, they were actually first thought to be a myth by Westerners when they came to Africa, for a few reasons. First, villagers in Africa described them as having the head of a giraffe and legs of a zebra, which might sound pretty mystical if you've never seen an animal like that. And second, they're extremely hard to spot sometimes. They are very shy and reclusive animals. But we can see they are very real and they're not a myth. Now up ahead, this hill is kind of straight ahead. There is an animal on top of that hill. It's a black rhinoceros. And I know it looks a little bit more gray or orange right now. It looks like it may have rolled in a mud wallow recently. But one of the ways that we can tell them apart from other species of rhinoceros, other than that skin color, because that doesn't really help us much, is their mouth-shaped. Black rhinoceros kind of have pointed mouths. Their upper lip is really flexible, almost like a finger. It helps them to pick up things from the ground or from bushes. On the left-hand side here, there are two animals. One's laying down, kind of tucked behind those bushes. That's a bongo. And then the one standing in the bush with kind of that tan coat, it's a greater kudu. There's also another greater kudu here on the right-hand side in the bushes.
Deer doing deer things.
There are some more bongos up ahead too. They're just tucked way back forward in the shadows of the trees up ahead.
Oh yeah, I can see them back there.
Now both of those animals, the greater kudu and the bongo, both have those white lines running down their sides. They're pretty obvious on the bongos. Might have been a little trickier to see on the greater kudu, but they work in the same way. Those lines are a form of camouflage. It kind of looks like the sunlight coming down through the trees. So when they stand really still, because it's very hard to see them. The next area we're heading towards is called the Safi River area. And the Safi River area is home to several semi-aquatic animal species. Semi-aquatic just means that those animals spend a lot of their lives in the water. So once you see the river coming up ahead, look out for any bubbles or dark spots in the water. That's a good indication there might be an animal there just below the surface. And I do see some animals on those islands. Those are pink-backed pelicans, kind of those gray-white birds. Most of them are kind of laying down resting. Now, I know they may not look very pink right now. That's because the skin on their back and on their faces turns pink, but only during mating season. And that's underneath all those feathers as well. So sometimes it can be tricky to see even during mating season, and it comes through kind of as a little bit of a blush if you're able to see it. On the left here, there is a Nile hippopotamus. They just came
I
out
don't
of
want to
the
jump
water.
in anymore.
Look at them.
Wow.
Wow.
Back down.
I don't want to jump in anymore.
Now they can hold their breath for several minutes at a time. So they'll do exactly what just happened, is they'll come up to the top to get a breath of fresh air, and then head right back down to the bottom of that water. Make sure we are staying seated for me all the way down. Now the word hippopotamus, it is a Latin word and it means a river horse. It looks like there's another one. You kind of see their head just went down back under the water. And there's some more up ahead too. The very last waterfall on the left, there's one hippopotamus that is standing a bit out of the water.
Oh yeah.
That is a little bit in the water. Also, a Nile crocodile here on the left, closer to us than those green grasses. Nile crocodiles are actually Africa's largest living reptile. On average, they grow to be about 16 feet in length. To give you an idea of how big that is about half the length eggs around, and that helps those eggs to crack open a little bit, which makes it easier for those baby crocodiles to hatch. Then once they have hatched, they do actually stay near their mothers to show more people to safe from any predators, until they get a little bit bigger and can fend for themselves. The next area we're heading towards is the savannah. The savannah is where we can find some of Africa's most iconic animals. Also some pretty incredible plant life out there, like this big tree coming up on the right-hand side. It's called a baobab tree.
Oh, baobab.
You'll notice it is leafless. They remain leafless for about 9 months out of the year in order to conserve water in those really big trunks. And they conserve so much water they actually have a nickname. They're called the tree of life. Because they do actually save lives out on the savannah. When it's really hot and dry and the animals can't find any standing water, they can eat the bark off the baobab tree, and that bark is kind of spongy from holding onto all that water. So it helps those animals to get some much needed hydration. So as we head out to the savannah, keep an eye out to see if you can spot any more baobab trees out here.
I spot a truck.
The animals with those really big horns, you can see those are Ankoli cattle. The coats are kind of red or a little bit of white too. And those horns can span anywhere from 6 to 8 feet in width, so quite large. But they're not as heavy as they might look. On the inside of those horns, it's actually a honeycomb-like structure, so it's not solid. So that really helps to reduce the weight. There's also blood vessels in those horns.
I've seen the inside of them before. I feel like we've seen
Especially the
that.
way they cool themselves off.
Yeah,
The blood will go from their body into their horns, cool off while it's in their horns, and recirculate throughout the rest of their body. Looks like there's a group of wildebeest hanging out there on the right-hand side, all laying down. And there are also some sable antelope. They're coming up ahead. They'll be on the left-hand side. Just a moment. They are dark brown. They kind of have C-shaped horns, depending on which way you're looking at them. There's one off here to the left, and then 2 more up ahead. Now those sable antelope, they are the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve.
Cool.
You notice the sign as we came into the reserve. On the right-hand side, there was an animal on it. That was the sable antelope there. Now it looks like there is a baby giraffe coming up. It's going to be on the left-hand side.
Oh yeah, there he is. There's the baby.
And this is a Maasai giraffe. Looks like there's some more adults a little bit further ahead.
Look at him. Just take him home.
The baby giraffes, when they are born, they stand about 6 feet tall.
Look at that cutie.
And they do also have to drop about 6 feet to the ground as well. Because usually their moms give birth to them standing upright.
Wow. Just take him home.
Free falling.
Yep.
And while they do start out at 6 feet, they do grow pretty rapidly. They grow about a foot in the first few months of life, so that little one's already between 7 and 8 feet tall.
Here he comes. Right in the
Oh
road.
boy.
And when they are full grown, they'll be about
Come on, you dang Florida
17
pedestrians.
feet tall on average. It's a great look at this holy cow here. They want to see how massive the horns are.
It's a baby.
Look, here he comes.
A really great look at this little cutie. Now, on top of his head, those little fuzzy looking things that look like horns,
What a cutie.
those are ossicones. And all giraffes have them. The giraffes
there's-
here in the bush eat things. They've got them as well. Those
He's eating
ossicones
all
are
of them.
bony protrusions from their skulls. And you can actually tell a specific giraffe apart based off those ossicones, because sometimes one might grow a little crooked, the other might be straight, or they might be a little more forward, a little more bent. Just some more wildebeest here on the right-hand side, and we're going to get a really good look at some Maasai giraffe on the left as well. There's also an eland right in between these bushes on the right, and that tan animal. There's
he's
another
hiding.
one coming up ahead too, it'll be on the left.
It's like a big goat.
These giraffes. And you can see this Maasai giraffe reaching really high up trying to get, well, they were Now they're done, I guess.
Look at him, he's just
They're
laying the
originally
rock.
how you get those palm fronds. And if you look at their spots are kind of jagged around the edges, like the jagged puzzle piece. That's specific to
Why was
the
it just
side
like laying
giraffe.
over
Other
the rock?
species of giraffe have different kinds of spots. Might be a little bit smoother around the edges or a little different in color. Now, a group of giraffe, they are called a tower. That's because of those really long necks. They do tower over the savanna. Now we are starting to pass some trees that have been knocked over. Well, that's something that elephants do love to do. Elephants love to knock over trees. Helps them to get to the nice, fresh branches at the top of trees and also fresh leaves as well. We'll have to keep an eye out, see if we can spot any elephants as we continue throughout our safari. And bulldozing those trees,
Some
knocking
Florida
over, actually
locals.
makes elephants a key species out on the
It's
savannah.
like us.
If the elephants were to,
like
for
10
whatever
ducks
reason,
over there.
no longer be in the savannah, it would drastically change the ecosystem. Knocking over those trees helps in a lot of ways to help get more sunlight to plants underneath those trees. Also spread any seeds those trees might give off as well. African elephants, they are threatened by many things, but one of them is habitat loss. One of the reasons for that habitat loss is mining for a mineral called coltan. And you may wonder, well, what's coltan used for that it's mined so much? Well, you probably have an item with you, maybe in your hands or in your pocket that's got some coltan in it. You have a cell phone, a tablet, a camera, really anything with a rechargeable battery is going to have that coltan in it. So that can even be things like video gaming devices, laptops, and headphones too. Think about all those items that you might have and multiply that by everyone here sitting in the truck. And everyone's friends and everyone's families. That is quite a few electronic devices everyone's got. And that means a lot of coltan that had to be mined. And that also means habitat loss for those elephants. But there is some good news. Coltan is actually really easy to recycle, and it can be used over and over and over again. Looks like there's another
Yeah.
cell in there on the left-hand side. Now, coltan doesn't wear down over time, and if we help to recycle it, that is a great way to reduce that mining for that coltan. And if that mining is reduced, that means that a lot of that habitat can be kept for those elephants. This elephant is in a little bit of a tricky spot. You can see their face a little bit better from this direction, but it is a little bit covered up by some of those bushes. Now, African elephants, they live in a female-led society or a matriarchy, where the strongest and the wisest female elephant is the one in charge of the herd. She's called a matriarch. She knows all the best food spots and all the best water spots, and she will take care of their year after year while they migrate.
That thing's thick. You see that thing?
I know.
Now, male elephants are a little bit less social than the females,
Dang.
so they'll either be living by themselves or in small bachelor herds. Now, if you look over your left shoulder as we go forward, you'll be able to see that African elephant again as well. A little far away, but you can see a little bit better view. See them using that long trunk they've got, kind of pick up any food that they're interested there on the ground, or really anything. Those trunks are extremely useful to them, kind of like our arms with our hands on the end. They can pick up things as small as a blade of grass,
Don't swim.
but also big things too, like logs that they're interested in. Those trunks also hold several gallons of water in them. They can squirt that water into their mouths, kind of like built-in straw. Or they can squirt that water onto their backs too if they're looking to cool off.
Wish we could do that.
On the left here, you probably already guessed what these animals are. You're probably right. These are flamingos.
Dang it.
Specifically, they are greater flamingos. Greater flamingos are the largest of the flamingo species, also the lightest pink in color. They get that pink color from the food that they eat, but it does take about 2 years for that pink color to go through their feathers. So when they have hatch out of their eggs, they have soft gray downy feathers. Then once they get their adult feathers in, those feathers are white.
Oh no, there's some ducks blocking our path.
Also, a few more African elephants off to the left there. Looks like there might be 3 or more in there. Also,
Dang.
Oh yeah.
some white rhinoceros here off to the left-hand side.
No chimpanzees.
Like one of them right here is getting a good scratch on this tree. Looks like a couple of them have been in a mud wallow recently as well. Now if you look at their mouth shape, they have really wide, flat mouths. That is specific to white rhinoceros. That black rhinoceros earlier had that kind of pointed mouth. There's also an ostrich there on the right behind the truck. Now those wide flat mouths are used for grazing, kind of like that one there is doing. And kind of getting that grass, that low ground cover there. They are quite large animals. They're one of the world's largest mammals. Weight around 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. And here on the left, this large hill. Look out for a cat, light yellow in
Cheetah.
color with black spots.
2 cheetahs.
Kind of right there in the middle of the hill. There's also another one just behind it in the bushes, kind of in the shade there. You're right, that is a cheetah. And cheetahs, they are the world's fastest land mammal. They can run about 60 miles an hour. That's 60. However, they are more sprinters rather than marathoners. They can't keep that speed up for too long. They're actually often outrun by other animals. Animals like lions or hyenas. And not because those animals can go any faster, but sometimes they just run for a little bit longer. Going so fast for those cheetahs definitely tires them out. Now on the left-hand side here, this large rock formation is called a kopie. Kopies are really, really good overlooks on the savanna. Because of that, they're often used by animals like lions. Lions like to get a great look at the surrounding area. Just keep an eye out for any lions that might be using this kopie today. There are some water buck here though on the right-hand side. I haven't spotted any lions quite yet. Kind of these shaggy brown animals with those white circles around their rumps. If you look at their noses, they have cute little heart-shaped noses. It also looks like there's another white rhinoceros off to the right, just beyond those trees. Now, lions are very social cats. They live in groups called prides. Pride is usually made up of one male and several female lions. And lions do also snooze for quite a large amount of time, anywhere from 16 to 20 hours a day, kind of like a house cat. So sometimes even if they are using a kopie, they can be pretty tricky to spot when they are sleeping. These really big holes here you're seeing on the hillside, those are warthog burrows. And warthogs are Africa's largest burrowing animal. I haven't spotted any warthogs yet, but it is possible that they are blending in. They are very, very good at camouflaging. Got a couple more white rhinoceros there. And that ostrich again. A white rhinoceros is also very social. They live in pretty good sized groups. Looks like that ostrich has also laid some eggs up ahead on the right hand side. These are ostrich eggs, just like in the path.
See?
Yeah, I do.
And those
Just
eggs
left
are
them there.
quite large.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which makes sense, some ostriches are quite big. They are the world's largest bird.
Incredibly hard to get.
Those things are also really strong.
Oh,
They
yeah.
can actually hold the weight of a fully grown person standing on top of those eggs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they won't break. The next area we're heading towards here is called the Unforgettable Glen. This is where the warden of the reserve lives. And you can see the warden's house coming up ahead in just a moment. The warden does have some roommates. So let's see if the warden's roommates are out and about. It looks like they are. They're on the other side of the warden's yard. They are Nigerian dwarf goats. And they are fully grown. That's as big as they're going to get. but their small size is actually really great. It means they don't need as much food as other larger species of goats. So it really cuts down on their upkeep. Looks like they're doing some yard work out here this evening. That's really kind of them.
Exactly.
Now we are starting to head back towards the village where I picked you up from. So I'd like to take a moment and talk about some conservation, some things that you and I can do to help the animals we've seen today. One of them is the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Now if we all work together to reduce the amount of single-use items that we use, and instead try to swap them out for some reusable items, that can greatly help those animals because it reduces the trash that goes into landfills. And often that trash that ends up in landfills doesn't stay there, can end up making its way into the habitats of the animals we've seen, or even animals that live in our own backyards. And that trash is no good for them, especially if they end up mistaking it for food and eating it.
Look, the tree fell over and there's a tree growing out of it.
Help out with that.
Oh, yeah.
Or swapping out things like plastic grocery bags for reusable grocery bags. Or if you're making a lunch, try using some reusable containers instead of those single-use plastic bags. Or if you're heading out of the house and you know you might need some water later, try bringing a reusable water bottle with you. You don't have to buy a plastic water bottle. Now you can also recycle some of those items. So those
I'm doing my part.
recyclable, along with things like aluminum cans, paper, cardboard, and even those plastic bags can often be recycled. Not in your own recycling, but at the stores where you got them from. That's a great way to reduce that use as well, and they can be recycled and made into something new. Now, if you're looking to see some more animals today, a great spot is the Gorilla Falls Trail. It'll be to your right-hand side as you follow the path to the exit. And it's about a 20-minute walking trail because you see really cool animals there like naked mole rats, reptiles, there's an aviary. You might see some different zebras out there. Or you